Sabiyah, I know you weren't sitting there with a stopwatch, but approximately how long did it take for all the wax to melt off that immunity idol?
The whole time, like, we waited, and at one point, Jeff was just like, all right, we're just going to sit and watch, because, like, if we kept looking kind of out of the corner of our eye, and it was, like, really a big spectacle. So I would say probably, like, 20 minutes.
That would have been tough to do at camp if you were trying to hide it from someone. That's a long time. That's not like a quick 5 minutes, someone's off doing this. That's tough.
I agree. And, we talked a lot about, how I was going to go about it. A lot of the fans have been saying, oh, she should have used her torch, or she should have used this, or she should have used... But ultimately, the fire that was going to be the hottest, that was going to allow the candle to be burned and retrieved the easiest, was the middle of tribal council. So, of course, then you see me tell Emily, because, of course, if I'm going to be planning to work with her further on in the game, she can't see my idol at that tribal council first off, so it was really a lot. But I feel like, Tony, he had an instance where he had to make a fire in, the bushes way back off the trail and everything like that. So that was going to be my plan had we had Flint, which we did not.
The other obviously big question is, we're all watching that tribal council, is sort of how much, if at all, did you consider keeping your vote and using the immunity at that tribal as opposed to pushing it?
Watching it, it looks like it was kind of like a rash decision. But again, I was up there for way too long. I should have, anticipated it being a multi-step idol. I didn't, because there had been so many steps before that. I'm thinking, I'm opening the paper. Hey, girl, you got an idol. And I'm going back to the bench. I didn't anticipate having to I didn't vote the entire season. I don't know if that's a presidented thing or whatever, but I didn't vote the entire season. So at that time, I'm like, okay, well, if I got this far not voting and I've been safe and my calculations were always either correct or leading, the charge, even though Emily stayed because of Hannah's quit, that wasn't on us. I did think about playing it during camp when Emily comes back from off the trail. And it was just this weird feeling that I had. And when she came back and she was reporting back her talks with Kaleb, because of course my plan was, oh, we're going to tell Kaleb it's me. Kaleb tells Emily it's me. Emily, we're telling Kaleb, So she was reporting back to me and Sean while we were just like kind of chilling in the shelter. And she mentioned something that was a little bit like, why is Kaleb doing the most? And I'm like, are these guys like together? And she walks off and I told Sean, I was like, I think I might have to play tonight. And he's like, what? No, because we were anticipating the tribe swap, which you see happens the next episode, which we didn't know that at the time. But again, gut feelings. It's amazing how much intuition is really your only map out there. So anticipating a swap, knowing that Sean is really my only ally at this point, I need that idol. That's how I'm thinking. It's like, if I can save it, if I can bank it, if I know that Kaleb is voting Emily, Emily's voting Kaleb, and Sean is going to be with me, I don't really need to vote. Now, had I seen all of the back math with Kaleb and Emily from day 3, of course, I play my idol. Kaleb goes home. It's not even a question. But of course, like the editing, they do such a great job of making the anticipation moment, with the egg on my face, which is perfect. I loved it. I laughed. That's why we love this show.
There's so many other moments that now you can rewind, I'm sure. Like, did you ever at the moment consider keeping Emily's shot in the dark after she gave it to you before that second tribal? Or were you always good with your word that you were going to give it back?
I was good with my word with that one, because realistically, Emily was always on the chopping block. So me keeping her shot in the dark, it would have eliminated that bridge completely. Even if later on in the game, it's like, hey, I'll give you your shot in the dark back. If you roll with us like that, it just wouldn't have really kept that door open. I feel like me and Kaleb were similar in that way. It's just Emily, because we're two strong women being on the same beach, she had pitted herself a lot more heavily against me than she had against Kaleb. And Kaleb saw that opportunity earlier, because even when you see us come back from the immunity chat, or from tribal council rather, who does she ask, did you vote? Me. You know what I mean? And you see my face, because I'm like, well, daggum, I just gave you back your shot in the dark. Like, I'm not thinking that you're going to come towards me. I'm thinking, okay, it could have been anybody. And that's why I didn't opt to tell her initially, because it's like, well, I don't want to burn that bridge. There's so much going on in the game that she was not privy to. Me and Brandon found the beware advantage on day, 4? Like there had been so much idol searching behind her back, so much strategy talking behind her back with Kaleb, might I add. And it was just hard to find that place, to talk to her where she would believe me and not have the reaction like she had last night.
Did you want her out at that second tribal instead of Brandon? Was that Sean and Kaleb just kind of like outnumbering you on that vote? Because it seemed like you wanted her gone.
And I knew that question was coming. So actually, yes, because I felt the target from Emily. There's a couple of times where I felt it from Kaleb. There's a couple of times where it was uneasy, even with Hannah, even with Brandon, I knew she wanted me. I mean? I knew that there was not a road past our beach even. People have given comments about, oh, you're thinking about the end too quick. Well, if you don't have the end in mind the whole time, you're doing it wrong. A lot of people play, day to day, which is great. I mean, in boot camp, they say chow to chow, Sunday to Sunday. And I get that. But when you have no chow and you're going to tribal council every time and it's different when there's a chance. We had just came off of our reward challenge, and even going into the immunity challenge, we're like, dang, there's a puzzle. We suck at puzzles. If we could get a challenge without a puzzle going into the reward challenge, we said, if there's no puzzle, we win. And it happened. We just are not puzzle players. It just is what it is. I guess they thought Hannah being, super smart with her background, Emily being a stock analyst, there would be some puzzle ability. There was numbers and there was good banter, but there was no visualization skills. And that is bread and butter for Survivor. I mean, I never even thought I would even have to attempt a puzzle.
When did the idea come to you to start flipping on Kaleb? When did that start to form in your mind? You know what? This guy is good. We got to get him out. I'm going to have to flip on him. When did that start to percolate?
Okay, so it was a combination of him going to Reba. Now he comes back. They didn't necessarily show this as much. He comes back. He was able to get every person with a one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? And talk to them. And, just like how he said, he's like, oh, I kind of want to get people to the side. And you see him talk to Drew. And he tells us about the advantage that he got, And we're just like, you mean to tell me you went over there and got everybody alone? Red flag. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, I knew my brother was good. And me and Kaleb were friends, but that was great. To have that much information to make the decision to give it to Drew, that's a long road. And he did it like that, like it was nothing. So that was me and Sean, we had a little talk on the beach, what you thinking about Kaleb? Because that was crazy. He's like, I know. Then, we start seeing him spend more time with Emily. And that was a subconscious thing, And I'm just like, I don't know about that. What business does he have with Emily if he's 3 with us? Realistically, it don't make no sense, but we don't want to rust and rob him. We don't want to mob boss, nobody leaves the camp. We don't want to do that because that would mean we don't trust him. But me and Sean definitely should have acted more on those instead of sitting and kind of letting things happen to us. I feel like that was my biggest regret playing more passively, socially, and allowing things to develop more naturally instead of taking the initiative like Kaleb did in creating that, unspeakable relationship. Because had I have put in the work with Emily before the day I went home, it just, and there were moments, but it wasn't anything to talk about, but yeah.
Oh, there's so much that we don't get to see just because they don't have time, even with the 90 minutes to put it in the episode. Sabiyah, what's something that happened out there that never made it to TV that you wish we had a chance to see?
Outside of the moments with Emily, outside of us talking about me playing my idol that night, I would have to say how long it actually took us to find the idol. We find it and it falls and we have the moment of oh my God, we have no fire. when I tell you it took hours and hours, and even me discovering that the map was a keyhole for the tree that was, that took a while because we thought maybe they're talking about the flag. There was so many places that we checked until it clicked for me. And then it's like, okay, like the only person that knows is Brandon. So he's coming with me, come on, buddy. But we were out there for a long time. We
know the tribe swap's coming up. As you mentioned, you just missed it, which is kind of brutal because it's a game reset. I know.
That's what I needed.
I know.
We were praying for a swap.
Who from the other tribes were you thinking you might want to work with if you had made it a little further? Was there anyone you kind of had your eyes on?
Well, you definitely saw Kendra, that she got to come to our beach. Now, that's something that I probably should have said a second ago, but we talked, and I was the only one that knew she had a vote at our tribal council, me and Sean. And so getting to a swap, ending up on the beach with Kendra at the time, she has the Girls Alliance going on over there. That's amazing. That's great TV, having me, Katurah, Kellie, and Kendra all in the same, basically like dominatrix alliance. That's amazing.
What's it been like sort of anticipating your demise coming on television and watching it play back last night? What's that whole experience been like, Sabiyah?
Before I left, I said to myself, give yourself permission to fail, because that's not really something that, and not to be any type of way, but it's not really something that I'm used to, and just have fun. And I feel like I found an idol, was in a majority alliance, we won a challenge. There's so many different things that were off of the bucket list that I didn't even know that I was subconsciously creating, so I was, knowing people were going to be shocked that it was so early, knowing people that were going to be disappointed, but also knowing that I did everything that I could with the information that I got, and now I'm back active duty in the Marines, having that, support where they're just like so proud of me and like this amazing moment for, all of us, we can experience it. It's been cool. It's been really, really cool. This has been my favorite show since I was 5 years old. So my inner child is jumping on top of the bed, screaming out of the sunroof, like, you did it, And so I really don't care what anyone else has to say. I hope to get the chance to play again. But until then, I'm happy. I'm happy.